Scarlett's burgundy silk evening gown had slipped down nearly to her waist, revealing her snow-white skin. Her fiery red lips took my breath away. She pressed me against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the penthouse suite, her blue eyes brimming with intoxication. Those Wall Street tycoons out there would pay $10 million for a single night in this room. But right now, I just want to use myself to buy you for one night. Welcome to Windfall, Lord. An exciting story is about to begin. Ding! A shiny $1 coin spun around and around on the dusty mahogany desk before finally falling with a thud. The woman sitting across from me looked at the coin as if she were staring at a piece of radioactive waste. Her name was Scarlett Monroe, the most skilled and most cold-blooded asset liquidator on the entire West Coast. At that moment, she was wearing a perfectly tailored black custom business suit and striding in aggressively styled red-soled high heels. Her blue eyes brimming with disbelief. "Jax Vance, are you out of your mind?" Scarlett said coldly, her voice as biting as vodka on the rocks. "Buying this bankrupt Obsidian hotel for $1 means you're also taking on its $10 million in bank debt. Next week, that shameless real estate vampire Harrison will show up with a court summons to seize what little dignity you have left. Not even your underwear will be spared. You're not doing business here. You're signing a death warrant." I shrugged, leaned back comfortably in the musty executive chair, and flashed her a classic Hollywood smile. She had no idea that just an hour ago, the real Jax, that unlucky guy, had jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge because he couldn't bear the pressure of bankruptcy anymore. As for me now, I'm a time traveler from a parallel universe. In that world, I was a penniless worker who had to walk on eggshells around my boss every day. Since fate has given me a second chance at life, even if it starts in hell, I'm going to go all out and live it up in downtown Los Angeles. I grabbed the Mont Blanc pen from the table, didn't even glance at the dozens of pages of unfair terms, and simply signed my name in a sweeping, flowing script on the last page. "It's a deal, Ms. Scarlett. As of now, this, the biggest haunted house in Los Angeles, is mine." I pushed the contract toward her. Scarlett looked at me as if I were crazy. She deftly stuffed the documents into her Hermes briefcase, stood up in her high heels, and said, "God bless you, Jax. I hope you're still smiling that brightly next week when I see you rummaging through trash cans on the street." Just as she turned to leave the general manager's office, which reeked of mold, a sudden, unexpected mechanical, synthesized voice rang out from deep within my mind. "Ding! The host has successfully acquired their first exclusive territory. The God-tier hotel system is now officially bound. Congratulations, host. You have received the newbie starter pack. Absolute control over your territory has been unlocked. The lobby on the first floor of the Obsidian Hotel and the Supreme Suite on the top floor will automatically undergo a divine-level renovation and reset within 1 minute. Additionally, the system has successfully hacked into the central server of the United States Bank and has automatically placed an indefinite freeze on the $10 million debt registered under your name." When I heard that, I almost couldn't help but whistle. A system? Just as I expected, the standard cheat code for time travelers never fails to show up. Debt freeze, God-tier upgrade? It's like someone just shoved a divine cheat code right into my hands. "Wait a minute, Scarlett." I stood up, smoothed out the slightly cheap-looking suit jacket I was wearing, and called out to the Ice Queen who was heading toward the door. "Since you're already here, why don't I give you a tour of the vast estate I just bought?" Scarlett turned around, her eyebrows furrowed so tightly they could have squashed a fly. "What's there to see? The walls covered in green mold? Or the droppings left by the homeless people in the lobby?" "Jax, I'm busy. I don't have time to play your idiotic bankrupt rich kid make-believe games with you. Just 1 minute, I guarantee it'll blow your mind." I strode forward and pushed open the heavy double doors leading from the office to the first-floor lobby. The moment the door opened, the look of impatience on Scarlett's face froze completely. Just 10 minutes ago, when we walked in, this lobby still looked like a refugee camp that had just been bombed by terrorists, littered with broken glass, garish graffiti, and foul-smelling trash. But now, miracles are happening right before our eyes. Without restraint, the pungent, musty smell in the air vanished instantly, replaced by a faint, exquisitely refined scent of cedarwood mingled with the fragrance of morning dew. The enormous crystal chandelier hanging overhead, which had once been rickety and covered in cobwebs, now radiated a soft, breathtakingly brilliant glow, with thousands upon thousands of perfectly cut crystals refracting dreamlike, ethereal hues in the light. The bumpy concrete floor beneath my feet had, at some point, been transformed into mirror-smooth, top-quality Italian black gold marble, reflecting the ancient Greek-style fountain in the center of the lobby, from which water was gently trickling. Even the tacky graffiti on the walls had vanished without a trace, replaced by exquisite reproductions of Renaissance oil paintings and exquisitely crafted walnut wainscoting. It was as if an invisible magician had casually tossed a 7-star imperial palace into this dilapidated space. This can't be possible." Scarlett's briefcase clattered to the floor. Her deadly red-soled high heels struck the marble floor, and she even staggered slightly. She whipped her head around. Her usually impassive, ice-cold face was now etched with utter shock and disbelief. She stared at me intently, her voice trembling. What kind of magic did you cast? When we walked in, this place was clearly just a ruin that not even a dog would want to stay in. I walked over to the fountain, cupped my hands to scoop up a handful of crystal clear water, savored its refreshing coolness, and then turned to her and raised an eyebrow. I told you, this is my turf. With my hands in my pockets, I surveyed the exorbitantly luxurious lobby, a smile spreading wider and wider across my face. Scarlet, please go back and tell those Wall Street bastards who are waiting to see me fail. The Obsidian Hotel officially reopens tomorrow. As for the room rates, I paused for a moment, gazing at her alluring red lips, which were slightly parted in utter shock. Standard rooms start at $10,000, and suites are $100,000 per night. No discounts. You're completely out of your mind, Jax. Not even Caesar's Palace, the top-tier hotel in Las Vegas, would charge $10,000 for a run-of-the-mill standard room. Those words, which Scarlet tossed out as she left, still echoed through my jaw-droppingly luxurious lobby. But she'll soon find out who the real man in this world is. System. Bring up the stats panel for the top-tier Supreme Suite. I thought to myself as I sat behind the reception desk, which had just been generated and was carved from a single block of pure, natural obsidian. A translucent blue screen immediately appeared on my retina, one that only I could see. Divine Supreme Suite, one of a kind, price, $100,000 per night, current bonus effect. Deep sleep healing, guests enter a state of absolute deep sleep within 1 hour. Upon waking, mental fatigue is completely restored. Mild neurasthenia is cured. And mental alertness is increased by 20%. Lasting for 48 hours. Invisible defense, activated, can withstand physical explosions equivalent to standard C4 explosives and the highest level cyber attacks. Looking at these specs, I couldn't help but gasp. This isn't just a suite, it's practically a medical sanctuary capable of extending one's life. In American high society, where people rely on handfuls of sleeping pills and caffeine just to get through each day, an experience that can instantly restore someone to peak condition, forget $100, 000. Even at $1 million, the wealthy would pounce on it like mad dogs. Everything's ready, now all I need is a sucker willing to be my guinea pig. As dusk fell, the streets of Los Angeles began to light up with neon signs. With my legs crossed, I sipped the ice-cold Dom Perignon champagne provided free by the system while browsing the latest gossip from the Silicon Valley tech scene on my tablet. Just then, there was a dull thud as the hotel's 2 heavy brass doors were violently pushed open. A man stumbled in. He was wearing a wrinkled gray hoodie. His hair was a mess like a bird's nest, and the bags under his eyes were so deep they looked like 2 purplish-blue shadows painted on his face. His whole body was shaking violently, and he was clutching a silver metal briefcase so tightly it was as if he were holding on to his very life. "Give me a room. Quick! Give me the safest room!" the man shouted in a hoarse voice, his tone betraying extreme nervousness and fear. As he shouted, he kept glancing frantically back at the pitch-black street outside, as if an assassin might leap out of the shadows at any moment. I raised an eyebrow and recognized him immediately. Dexter Cole, Silicon Valley's hottest tech maverick, with a net worth in the tens of billions of dollars. Recent rumors suggest he's just developed a revolutionary AI chip model, which has not only attracted the attention of countless investors but has even drawn the interest of some shady corporate spies. "Welcome to the Obsidian Hotel, Mr. Cole." I set down my champagne glass, rose to my feet at a leisurely pace, and looked at him with my most professional smile. "We currently have only one penthouse suite available. It's absolutely secure. Not even the CIA's satellites could spy on you taking a shit. However, the price is a bit steep." "How much?" "I'll cover it all. I've been on the run for 3 days and 3 nights. I haven't slept a wink in 72 hours. Dexter practically threw himself onto the marble counter, pulled an unlimited Centurion black gold card out of his pocket, and slammed it down in front of me. "Give me my room key now. $100,000 a night. Thank you for your business." With practiced ease, I picked up the POS machine, swiped his card, entered the amount, and handed him a solid gold room key card bearing the Obsidian logo. "The elevator is on your left. It goes straight to the top floor. Sleep well." Watching Dexter scurry into the elevator like a startled mouse, I stretched contentedly. $100,000. My first big score had come so easily. The next day at noon, I had a good sleep on the leather sofa in the lobby and was woken up by the ding of the elevator. The elevator doors opened, and out stepped Dexter once again. But if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would never have believed this was the same person as the man on the verge of a breakdown from last night. The gray hoodie he was wearing was still wrinkled, but he exuded an eerie vitality. His eyes shone as brightly as 2 1-kilowatt light bulbs. The bags under his eyes had completely vanished, and his cheeks even had a healthy glow. He walked as if he'd just been injected with 10 gene of chicken blood, and he was even whistling as he went. "Oh my God! Boss Jax, what kind of magical place is this?" Dexter rushed over to me in a few strides and, overcome with excitement, grabbed my shoulders with astonishing strength. "Last night, I lay down on that bed that gave off that strange scent, and in less than 3 seconds, 3 seconds, I was out like a light. I didn't even have a single dream. He waved his arms around incoherently, staring at me like a fanatical believer. When I woke up this morning, I felt like my brain had just been reformatted by a supercomputer. Crystal clear. Incredibly clear. I'd been stuck on a chip algorithm bottleneck for 3 whole months. But during those 5 minutes in the shower, it all clicked. Jax, this isn't a hotel at all. It's God's charging station. I smiled and patted him on the shoulder. Mr. Cole, it seems you're fairly satisfied with the service at our hotel. Satisfied? Screws satisfied. I absolutely love this place. Dexter slapped his thigh hard, pulled that black and gold card right out of his pocket, and slammed it down right in front of me. Jax, I'm booking that suite. For 6 months to start with. No, a year. Charge it to my card. $18 million US. Anyone who dares try to snatch that room from me, I'll fucking hire a hitman to kill them. Seeing him acting so frantic, as if he'd be willing to rip out his heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys just to give them to me, I was overjoyed. The system really didn't lie to me. To these rich people, money is truly just a bunch of numbers when it comes to saving their lives and their sanity. I'm sorry, Mr. Cole. I pushed the black gold card back toward him in a very gentlemanly manner, though the smile on my lips gradually turned wry. It's the policy at the Obsidian Hotel. We do not offer monthly or annual room reservations. Each guest may only book 1 night per day. If you wish to continue your stay, please be here in the lobby at 8 a.m. tomorrow to join the line with everyone else and make a reservation. Stand in line? Dexter's eyes widened like copper bells. You want me, a billionaire, no less, to stand in line? Yes. I picked up the glass of champagne I hadn't finished yet and raised it to him. Or, you could choose to turn left when you walk out the door and stay at the Hilton. Dexter Cole is a complete madman. Not only did he not fly into a rage over my refusal, but instead, like some possessed pyramid scheme leader, he posted a photo of that solid gold room key on Twitter with the caption, Obsidian Hotel, the ultimate experience at $100,000 a night. After sleeping here, I feel like I could punch a bull to death and write code for a quantum computer by hand while I'm at it. Jax Vance, you're a damn genius. This tweet was like a nuclear bomb of staggering destructive power, instantly sending shockwaves through Silicon Valley and Wall Street on Twitter. At first, most people were mocking Dexter, wondering if he was high or had been brainwashed by some con artist. After all, a half-finished hotel teetering on the brink of bankruptcy, priced at $100,000 a night, that sounded even more absurd than a Martian running for U.S. president tomorrow. But there's no getting around the fact that Dexter is a bona fide billionaire. What's even more alarming is that the very next day after posting that tweet, he stormed back into Silicon Valley with the blueprints for an AI chip that was said to have broken through the era's technological bottleneck, sending his competitor's stock price plummeting to the daily limit down. At that point, the entire high society was in an uproar. What do the wealthy fear most? They fear death. They fear growing old. And they fear that their wits won't be sharp enough to prevent others from taking advantage of them. When they realize that the $100,000 suite might truly hold some secret capable of making them come back to life, the greed and desire buried deep within their hearts were completely ignited. Just 3 days. As I stood in front of the bulletproof glass doors in the hotel lobby, holding a cup of the system's exclusive Colombian Blue Mountain coffee, the scene before me was even more magical than a Hollywood red carpet. The street outside was lined with all kinds of limited edition Rolls-Royces, Maybachs, and bulletproof Cadillacs, those Silicon Valley tech titans who usually dictate the world's course from the covers of Forbes, whose mere cough can send the stock market into a tailspin, along with top Wall Street hedge fund managers, and even a few well-known Hollywood producers wearing sunglasses, were all now crammed at the foot of the Obsidian Hotel steps, looking every bit like middle-aged women scrambling for discounted eggs at the supermarket, completely disregarding their public image. I'm a senior partner at Goldman Sachs. Let me in first. I'll pay $150,000 for that suite tonight. A pot-bellied, balding man waved his checkbook and shouted hysterically, Screw Goldman Sachs. I'm with Sequoia Capital. I'll pay $200,000, Mr. Jax. I'll even give you a 1% equity stake in our company. Just set aside that room that cures neurasthenia for me for a week. Another tall, slender man in a tailored suit ruthlessly shoved the bald man aside with his elbow and shouted at the top of his lungs. As I watched this group of capital tycoons, who usually act so high and mighty, tear into each other like wild dogs over a single room, I couldn't help but smile. Is this the power of money? No, it's the intense longing for life and health that I've instilled in them. In this realm ruled by my system, the tens of billions in assets they hold carry less weight than a single room key of mine. Ding. System notification. Host's influence has increased significantly. The standard guest room area on the first floor has been unlocked. A total of 50 rooms. Renovations completed in a single day. The mechanical voice in my head made the smile on my face even brighter. Ladies and gentlemen, I pushed open the doors and walked up the steps. The luxurious, alluring scent from the lobby instantly wafted out onto the street, causing several wealthy men who had been jostling one another to involuntarily take a deep breath and fall silent. Welcome to the Obsidian Hotel. I looked down at them from above, like a tyrant surveying his domain. First, let me correct a misconception. All reservations for the $100,000 Supreme Suite on the top floor for the next month have been exclusively booked by Mr. Dexter Cole at a bid price of $50,000 per day. A wave of despairing wails and vicious curses directed at Dexter suddenly erupted from the crowd. However, I held up a finger to cut off their commotion. Today, we're officially opening 50 standard guest rooms on the first floor. Each room is equipped with the basic fatigue relief and deep sleep features. While the effects aren't quite as dramatic as those in the top floor suites, they're more than enough to let you bigwigs, who are so stressed you're practically going bald, experience a baby-like sleep. I'll book them. I'll book 10 rooms, the Goldman Sachs partner immediately shouted, as if a drowning man had grabbed a lifeline. Shut up. I shot him a cold look. I've already said that. According to Obsidian's rules, each person can only book 1 room per day, and given how high demand is right now, the price for standard rooms is officially being raised to $15,000 per night, effective immediately. Also, we don't accept cash or checks, only full payment by credit card on site. Now, anyone who wants to check in, please line up. Anyone who dares to cut in line or make a loud commotion on my property will be immediately placed on the Obsidian Hotel's permanent blacklist. No sooner had I finished speaking than those bigwigs, who were usually surrounded by bodyguards and made a big show of their presence wherever they went, actually began jostling each other as they lined up in front of me. Just like a group of well-behaved elementary school students, looking at the long line shimmering with golden light. I snapped my fingers with satisfaction. Scarlet, you'd better come back and take a look soon. That $1 mess you had in your sights is now the world's most profitable money-making machine. The nights in Los Angeles are always steeped in the rotten stench of glitz and glamour, but tonight, the Obsidian Hotel stands like a fortress radiating an alluring golden glow, driving countless people wild with envy. Smack! An expensive crystal ashtray was smashed violently against the wall and shattered into pieces. The man sitting behind the massive mahogany desk was none other than Harrison Faulkner, the most notorious real estate tycoon on the entire West Coast. His naturally grim face was now contorted by extreme rage, making him look like a hyena that had had its prey snatched away. Can someone tell me how that good-for-nothing Jax managed to turn that bankrupt haunted house into a money-making machine that has Silicon Valley bigwigs lining up to hand over cash, all in just 1 week? Harrison roared at the few suit-clad subordinates standing in front of his desk. He had it all figured out. Once Jax was driven to jump off a building by his $10 million debt, he would be able to take over that prime downtown lot at a bargain price and build the world-class commercial complex of his dreams. But now, not only has the Obsidian Hotel not gone under, it has actually become the hottest, most legendary hotel in the entire United States. This stings him even more than 100 hard slaps across the face. Boss, we've looked into it, one of his men said, nervously wiping the cold sweat from his forehead. For some reason, the United States Bank suddenly froze Jax's debt, so there's no way we can enforce it through the courts. Plus, that hotel is currently packed with all sorts of high-profile figures, so we don't dare to take drastic action. Afraid to take him on head-on? Am I just supposed to stand by and watch him shit on my head? Harrison sprang to his feet, a venomous glint flashing in his eyes. If I can't take him on openly, then I'll play dirty. Doesn't he claim to offer divine-level sleep? I'll see if those precious millionaires will still kiss his stinking feet once his hotel loses water and power and turns into a sweltering, stinking coffin. Midnight. I was lying in my own standard guest room, which had been set aside specifically for me, enjoying the deep sleep buff provided by the system, when suddenly, a piercing alarm blared in my head. Warning! The hotel's external power supply has been maliciously cut off. Warning! Severe physical damage has been detected in the hotel's underground main water supply pipeline. I suddenly opened my eyes to find the room pitch black. I walked over to the window, pulled back the curtains, and saw that the neon lights along the entire street were still on, yet the Obsidian Hotel alone stood like a completely isolated island of darkness. Huh, that old fox Harrison, he just couldn't hold back after all. I let out a cold laugh. Far from feeling the slightest bit flustered, I actually felt a bit excited. If this were an ordinary hotel, such large-scale vandalism would undoubtedly trigger a catastrophic public relations crisis. Those millionaires who paid $15,000 to stay here, if they were woken up in the middle of the night by the heat and couldn't even take a shower, would definitely trash my lobby first thing in the morning and, while they're at it, sue me into bankruptcy. But unfortunately, he picked the wrong person to mess with. System. Initiate Level 1 Emergency Defense Protocols. Activate the independent micronuclear power core and the air-to-water recycling system. I issued the command in my mind without hesitation. Command received. Loading hidden system modules. The invisible energy core is now online. Power is being restored. The nanoscale air condensation water generation system has been activated. Water pressure has returned to normal, and water quality has automatically been upgraded to polar glacial mineral water standards. It took less than 10 seconds in total. The hotel lobby, which had been pitch black, was instantly bathed once more in the dazzling glow of crystal chandeliers. Not only did the central air conditioning in the hallway resume operation, but the cool breeze it blew out was even fresher and more pleasant than before, carrying the natural scent of a forest after the rain. Meanwhile, a few blocks away from the hotel, inside a black minivan, Harrison was smugly waiting for news of the chaos at the hotel, listening in on his henchman's walkie-talkies. "Boss, it's done. We've completely cut the main cable, and we blew a huge hole in the water pipe. I've already taken care of the city workers. They won't send anyone to fix it until at least noon tomorrow." His subordinate's voice was full of sycophantic flattery as he sought praise. "Well done. Now I can't wait to see that Jax kneel before those furious millionaires and beg for mercy, and watch his hotel's reputation go down the drain." Harrison burst into a maniacal laugh. However, before his laughter had even died down, the walkie-talkie suddenly crackled with his subordinate's terrified screams. "Boss, it's a miracle! How is this even possible? What's going on? Why are you so flustered?" Harrison's heart skipped a beat. "It's lit up. The whole hotel is lit up again, and the lights are even brighter than before. This is just not possible. I'm still holding that main cable. What kind of magic are they using?" The smile on Harrison's face froze instantly, then turned into a look of extreme aghastness and disbelief. He snatched the walkie-talkie and shouted frantically, "You idiot! There's definitely a backup generator. Go find that generator right now and smash it to pieces. It's no use. Boss, we just scanned the entire building, and there's absolutely no thermal radiation signal from any diesel generators. It's as if they have a reactor with an unlimited energy supply." Harrison slumped helplessly into the leather seat, his whole body cold. He finally realized that he was not dealing with a desperate, bankrupt young master at all, but with an unfathomable devil. At that moment, I was standing in the hotel's security room, watching the vandals on the screen as they wandered aimlessly around the hotel perimeter like headless flies, and the smile on my lips grew colder and colder. "System, activate the counterattack function of the invisible defense module. Give these rats a lesson they'll never forget. Counterattack mode has been activated. Target locked. High-frequency sonic deterrence mode has been activated." As a terrifying infrasonic wave, audible only to specific targets, silently spread through the streets, the vandals on the screen suddenly clutched their ears as if they had gone mad, collapsing to the ground and rolling back and forth in agony. In less than half a minute, they scrambled away from the scene, even forgetting to take their tools with them. "Harrison, this game has only just begun. Since you want to play, I'll play along, and we'll play for high stakes. I'm eager to see if those assets you're so proud of are even enough to fill a tooth gap in my system empire." Not only did Harrison's botched sabotage attempt fail to cause me any loss, but it actually became another selling point for the Obsidian Hotel. Early the next morning, when several early rising millionaires discovered a municipal water main blown to pieces on the street outside their windows, yet the tap water in the hotel remained clear and refreshing, even carrying the distinctive, slightly sweet taste of polar mineral water, the entire lobby erupted in commotion once again. "This isn't just some backup system. It's definitely top-secret military technology," the lanky guy from Sequoia Capital boasted emphatically to those around him over breakfast, as if he'd just personally toured a secret Pentagon facility. "I'd bet my life that Boss Jax has ties to the Department of Defense." I didn't bother to explain this absurd speculation. In this circle, maintaining an air of mystery often commands more respect than transparent accounting. Ding! The system has detected that the host has successfully fended off a malicious attack and significantly boosted the hotel's mystique. Congratulations, host. You have unlocked a brand new area. The Abyss God-tier Michelin-starred restaurant, including an attached kitchen and a supply chain for top-quality ingredients. Current restaurant bonus: a healing feast for the palate. Every bite of food will fully preserve the ingredients' finest, purest flavors. At the same time, the system energy contained in the food will rapidly heal diners' chronic stomach ailments, alleviate severe anxiety, and produce an extremely intense sense of happiness. This effect induces a strong craving, but contains no harmful substances. When I heard that long string of beeps in my head, I almost spit out the coffee I was drinking. An addictive sense of happiness? Can it even treat chronic stomach disorders? You have to understand that on Wall Street and in Silicon Valley, these bigwigs spend their days either in meetings or at social events, and 9 out of 10 of them suffer from severe stomach ulcers and anxiety. For them, the most agonizing thing in the world is looking at a table full of delicacies but having to settle for plain rice porridge. If this restaurant really had such miraculous effects, they would definitely lick every plate clean. System: start the restaurant renovation immediately. That very afternoon, a large conference room on the second floor, which had previously been abandoned and filled with clutter, underwent a complete renovation in just half an hour, without anyone noticing. As dusk fell, I pushed open the newly installed brass door, and even I was taken aback by the sight before me. The entire restaurant is designed in an extremely dark and opulent Gothic style. The massive dome contains not a single light fixture. Instead, a vast, deep starry sky is simulated using some kind of holographic projection technology. All the dining tables are carved from solid rosewood, while the cutlery is crafted from pure silver, exuding a subtle yet expensive luster. The most spectacular feature is the kitchen, a state-of-the-art production line entirely controlled by fully automated robotic arms and an AI system, requiring absolutely no intervention from human chefs. "Everyone," I said as I walked into the lobby, interrupting the bigwigs who were sitting on the sofas and talking in hushed tones. "Good news. The Abyss restaurant at the Obsidian Hotel officially opens tonight. Due to the extreme rarity of the ingredients, only 50 seats are available tonight, and the restaurant is open exclusively to guests staying at the hotel tonight. The price for the set menu is $20,000 per person." There was a moment of silence among the crowd, followed by a burst of discontented muttering. "Mr. Jax, I'll admit your guest rooms are nothing short of a miracle. But $20,000 for a single meal? Even the top Michelin 3-star chefs in France wouldn't dare charge such an outrageous price. Would they?" A pot-bellied Texas oil tycoon frowned, clearly thinking I was trying to rip him off. "Yeah, I'd rather go eat a hot dog on the street. My stomach ulcer has been tormenting me for 3 years now. Everything I eat feels like I'm swallowing a knife. And even the finest food is a waste on me." Another pale-faced Wall Street banker clutched his stomach in pain. I looked at them, a playful, cold smile curving my lips. "Gentlemen, at the Obsidian Hotel, I never sell ordinary goods, I sell miracles. If, after you've finished your meal tonight, you feel it wasn't worth the price, or if your stomach ailments haven't improved at all, I'll not only give you a full refund, but I'll hand over this entire hotel to you." As soon as those words were spoken, the entire room erupted in an uproar. Those wealthy individuals, who had initially been somewhat hesitant, looked at my face radiating absolute confidence and, in the end, couldn't resist their longing for a miracle. One by one, they pulled out their credit cards. Half an hour later, at the Abyss restaurant, when the first appetizer, called Aurora, a dish featuring a rare, top-quality silver cod, farm-raised and found only in the deep seas of Iceland at depths of 2,000 meters or more, paired with a mysterious herb that glowed faintly, was delivered to the pale-faced banker by a fully automated food cart. The entire restaurant fell so silent that the only sound was the soft clinking of cutlery. The banker, half believing and half doubting, cut off a small piece of fish and put it in his mouth. In that instant, his eyes widened suddenly, and his pupils contracted sharply. He felt as if he weren't eating fish at all, but swallowing a mouthful of the purest glacial meltwater. That indescribable, exquisite sweetness exploded on the tip of his tongue in an instant. What shocked him even more was that, as he swallowed the food, an incredibly warm wave of heat instantly enveloped his stomach, which had been plagued by cramping for years. The excruciating pain that had tormented him for 3 years vanished without a trace in just a few seconds, as if ice and snow had met a raging fire. This was followed by an intense, unprecedented sense of happiness that surged all the way to the top of his head, causing him to shed tears uncontrollably. "Oh my God, how is this possible? My stomach doesn't hurt anymore. I feel like I could eat a whole cow," the banker shouted like a madman, then began wolfing down his food with reckless abandon, even dipping his fingers into the soup at the bottom of the bowl and licking it clean. Similar scenes were unfolding simultaneously in every corner of the restaurant. That Texas oil tycoon who had once doubted me was now, his face flushed, devouring a piece of Kobe-grade steak that gave off an enticing aroma. As he ate, he let out a satisfied groan. "This is incredible. This beef is practically dancing in my soul. Mr. Jax, I was wrong. $20,000 is a steal. I'd pay $100,000 for another serving." As dinner came to an end, this group of billionaires, who usually held themselves aloft, looked at their empty plates, their eyes suddenly revealing a look of extreme reluctance and a frenzied longing. The experience was as if they had just fallen from heaven. They were desperate to return there once more. "I'm sorry, everyone. Supplies are limited, so only 1 serving per person per day." Standing at the restaurant entrance, I ruthlessly shattered their illusions. "Jax, please, just let me have one more bite of that caramel pudding, and I'll give you anything you want." That lanky guy from Sequoia Capital actually dropped to his knees with a thud and clung desperately to my thigh. "I just saw a few unwashed plates in the kitchen. Let me wash the dishes. Just let me lick a bit of the sauce off the plates, and I'll wash your dishes for free for a whole year." Watching this venture capital tycoon, worth tens of billions, weep bitterly just to wash out the market, the smile on my face grew even broader. This world has, after all, gone mad, and I am the god who creates this madness. California's climate is usually known for its sunshine, but Mother Nature has clearly played a particularly cruel joke on us today. Above Los Angeles, the clouds were so thick they looked like a massive, purplish-black bruise in the process of rotting. On the TV news, the weather anchor was reporting on this extremely bizarre super hurricane, Siren, in a voice laced with despair that was almost breaking. with wind speeds reaching 300 kilometers per hour. The hurricane will deal a devastating blow to every building in its path. To make matters worse, the hurricane's path is extremely erratic, effectively shutting down all of Los Angeles's airports and highways. In the lobby of the Obsidian Hotel, the billionaires who had previously been ready to tear each other apart over a room and a $20,000 dinner were now all as restless as ants on a hot pan. I'll pay $1 million. Who can send a wind-resistant helicopter to pick me up from the top floor? The Texas oil tycoon clutched his satellite phone, sweating profusely with anxiety. But all he heard on the other end was an endless dial tone. Don't even think about it. In this damn weather, not even Air Force One would dare take off. We're going to die here. The Goldman Sachs partner slumped to the ground in despair. His custom-made suit, which normally cost over 100,000 US dollars, soaked through with cold sweat. I leaned against the pure obsidian counter at the front desk, still holding that cup of Colombian Blue Mountain coffee I could never get enough of, watching this group of capital titans, who usually call the shots, as if they were a monkey show. When faced with the true might of nature, the hundreds of billions in their bank accounts weren't worth a scrap of paper to shield them from the wind. Ding! The system has detected a catastrophic climate anomaly occurring in the external environment, activating the territory's ultimate defense protocol, Noah's Ark Absolute Protection Mode. The energy shield now fully covers the hotel's exterior walls, and its seismic and pressure resistance have been raised to the highest level. The internal environmental circulation system has been activated in maximum life support mode. Rest assured, host, even if a nuclear bomb were to explode 3 blocks away, not a single ripple would disturb the coffee in your cup. After hearing the system's report, I took a leisurely sip of coffee. 10 minutes later, Hurricane's siren officially made landfall in the city center. It was a scene straight out of the apocalypse. Through the massive bulletproof glass doors of the hotel lobby, we watched with our own eyes as Harrison Faulkner's luxurious office tower across the street let out a bone-chilling, metallic screech as it twisted in the gale. In the next instant, the extremely expensive glass curtain wall of that building, which was touted as having the world's most advanced wind-resistant design, was torn apart in an instant by the gale, as if it were a fragile cookie, sending countless shards of glass and office furniture whirling wildly through the air. But here at the Obsidian Hotel, it was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. There was no swaying whatsoever, no sound of the wind seeping in, not even the enormous crystal chandelier overhead moved by so much as a millimeter. The soothing scent of cedar wood still filled the lobby, and, in a particularly fitting touch, Bach's unaccompanied cello suites were playing from backstage. Outside is hell, inside is heaven. This incredibly intense visual impact and stark contrast between life and death left all the wealthy people in the lobby completely transfixed. They stopped shouting and struggling, and everyone's gaze was fixed on me as if I were God. Mr. Jax? Dexter Cole walked toward me, his voice trembling with a barely concealed fervor and awe. Who exactly are you? This building. This is far beyond what Earth's technology is capable of. I didn't answer his question because my gaze was drawn to a figure outside the glass door. On a street battered by wind and rain, a woman in a state of utter disarray was crouched beside a black Porsche that had been smashed to a pulp. She was clinging desperately to a marble column outside the hotel, as the gale threatened to tear her apart. It's Scarlett Monroe. That woman really is lucky to be alive. She just had to show up on the outskirts of my territory at a time like this. Open the door. I set down my coffee cup and snapped my fingers at the security guard standing next to me, who was staring at me in shock. But boss, the wind outside, I said. Open the door, I said in a tone that brooked no argument, gritting his teeth. The security guard abruptly pressed a button to open the main gate. The very moment the gate swung open, a violent gale tried to surge into the lobby, but right at the edge of the doorframe, it was as if an invisible, transparent wall of air were firmly blocking all the wind and rain from entering. I strode past that invisible barrier, grabbed Scarlett's slender arm, and pulled her back from the brink of death. With a bang, the front door slammed shut. Scarlett collapsed onto the marble floor. Her black business suit, which had once looked so imposing, was now soaked through and clung tightly to her body, outlining her breathtaking curves. She was gasping for breath, her ice blue eyes filled with the sheer terror of someone who had narrowly escaped death. When she looked up and saw the opulent lobby, the Silicon Valley tycoons who were unscathed and sipping red wine to calm their nerves, and finally set her gaze on me, who was still wearing that Hollywood-style smile, her entire worldview came crashing down. You, what the hell is this hotel of yours? She was trembling all over, her voice hoarse beyond belief. I walked over to her, took off my tailored blazer, draped it over her trembling shoulders, and, as I did so, leaned down and whispered in her ear. I told you this a long time ago, Scarlett. This is my turf. And on my turf, I am the only law. Scarlett's much-vaunted rationality was completely shattered under the almost miraculous, absolute protection of the Obsidian Hotel. As one of the top asset liquidators on the entire West Coast, she had seen countless men in her life, men driven mad by the brink of bankruptcy, men consumed by despair, and men trying to cover up the truth. She thought she had seen through this boring world ruled by money and capital, until I, Jax Vance, ripped open a crack in that world and dragged her right in. Outside the window, Hurricane Siren was still ravaging Los Angeles like a raging beast. But in the penthouse suite at the Obsidian Hotel, it was so quiet that all that could be heard was the jazz music flowing from the record player. I took a bottle of Romani Conti out of the wine cabinet. This wasn't some tacky item that wealthy people out there bid millions of dollars for at auction just to show off. It was a top-quality bottle specially reserved for the system's wine cellar. Would you like a glass? I handed the glass of red wine I'd poured to Scarlett, who was sitting on the leather sofa. She had already taken a bath and slipped into the burgundy silk nightgown the system had specially prepared for female guests. The soft silk flowed gracefully along her stunning curves, and her face, which usually wore a cold, impassive expression, now glowed with a delicate, alluring blush in the warm glow of the fireplace. Jax, she took the glass, her ice blue eyes fixed intently on me, her voice tinged with an unprecedented complexity of emotion. I was downstairs just now and saw Harrison's office building completely torn to shreds by the hurricane, and here, not even a drop of water has been spilled. You've won. You've won completely. The way those billionaires are looking at you now, it's as if they're looking at their god. I don't care about being some kind of god. I walked over and sat down across from her, gently swirling my wine glass. I'm just a broke, unlucky guy who's had a bit of luck. Scarlett suddenly smiled. It was a completely unguarded, utterly relaxed smile, so beautiful it took one's breath away. If you're such a loser, then what about those people out there who'd spend every last penny they have just to get you a room? She tilted her head back and downed the red wine in her glass in one gulp. That specially supplied red wine not only has a rich, full-bodied flavor, but also comes with the system's unique slightly tipsy allure bonus effect. It greatly amplifies the drinker's deepest, most genuine desires and breaks down all psychological defenses. As the red wine slid down her throat, a charming flush of crimson immediately spread across Scarlett's fair neck. Her breathing grew slightly rapid, and her gaze gradually became dreamy. She suddenly stood up and walked toward me, step by step, across the soft wool carpet. With every step she took, her loose, burgundy silk nightgown slipped down a little further, revealing large swaths of snow-white, smooth skin. She cornered me against the floor-to-ceiling window. Outside the window raged an apocalyptic storm that seemed poised to destroy everything, while inside, an irresistible temptation set my blood racing. Jax, you know what? I've never met a bastard as crazy and charming as you. She extended her slender fingers and gently stroked my cheek, her blue eyes brimming with unconcealed fascination and desire. I thought you'd crumble under a debt of 10 million. But instead, with just $1, you leveraged the capital of the entire world. Her burgundy silk evening gown had slipped down nearly to her waist, revealing her snow-white skin. She cornered Jax against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the penthouse suite, her blue eyes brimming with intoxication. Those Wall Street tycoons out there are willing to pay 10 million for a single night in this room. But right now, I just want to use myself to buy you for one night. With that, her fiery red lips sealed his breath away. It was an aggressive kiss, redolent with the scent of red wine. It was as if she were pouring all her awe, submission, and that long-suppressed desire into that single kiss. I didn't refuse. In this realm that is entirely mine, I intend not only to conquer those capital tycoons high above me, but also, of course, to win over this ice queen who once looked down on me. I wrapped my arm around her slender waist, pulling her close against me, and took the initiative to deepen the kiss. The system's mildly intoxicating effect spread wildly between us, and the temperature in the air rose sharply. Do you know what the price is, Scarlett? I whispered in her ear, my voice hoarse and terrifying. My suite is very expensive. If you can't pay, you'll become the Obsidian Hotel's exclusive front desk manager, and you'll never be able to leave for the rest of your life. Do with me as you please, my boss. She let out a breathy moan that sent shivers down my spine and, without hesitation, pinned me down on that luxurious bed draped in the finest velvet. Outside the window, the wind and rain raged, and thunder roared. Yet inside this divine suite, an even more passionate and wild descent into absolute depravity was unfolding. As the first blinding ray of sunlight pierced the thick, purplish-black clouds hanging over Los Angeles, Hurricane Siren finally began to retreat inland, carrying its boundless fury with it. I leaned back against the headboard of the spacious bed in the top-floor premier suite, holding a top-grade Cuban cigar provided by the system. Scarlett lay quietly on my chest like a lazy, docile cat. The initial defiance and coldness had long since vanished from her ice-blue eyes, replaced by a deep sense of infatuation and submission. Good morning, my front desk manager. I exhaled a wisp of pale blue smoke and gently stroked her back, which was as smooth as silk. Scarlett looked up, parted her red lips slightly, and gave my chin a gentle nibble. Her voice was lazy and husky. Good morning, boss. If my daily pay were settled like it was last night, I'd be happy to work for you for free for the rest of my life. We exchanged a smile, then both stood up and walked over to the huge floor-to-ceiling window. The scene outside the window looked as if it had just suffered a devastating nuclear strike. Downtown Los Angeles, once incredibly bustling, was now a scene of utter devastation. The streets were blocked by palm trees torn from their roots and wrecked luxury cars, while the skyscrapers in the distance lay in ruins, looking as if they'd been gnawed on by dogs. Yet, amid this gloom and ruin, the Obsidian Hotel stood like a temple radiating a sacred glow, not only completely unscathed, but with its marble exterior shimmering in the morning sun, without a speck of dust in sight. Ding! System notification. Noah's Ark defense mode has been deactivated. Congratulations, host. You have successfully weathered an apocalyptic climate disaster. The hotel's reputation has surpassed regional limits and reached the global legend level. The final stage reward has been awarded. The Obsidian Consortium system panel has been unlocked. From now on, your hotel will serve as the sole refuge for the world's most elite, and you will have absolute control over the pricing of your guests' assets. Hearing that voice in my head, I stubbed out the cigar in my hand, and a smug smile curled at the corners of my mouth. It was time to wrap up the game. As I walked down through the lobby with Scarlett, who was wearing a black business suit custom-tailored by the system that looked incredibly sharp and exuded a regal aura, the entire lobby instantly fell so silent you could hear a pin drop. The billionaires who were terrified out of their wits during last night's hurricane are now looking at me, not just with awe, but as if they were gazing upon a true deity. Mr. Jax, Dexter Cole was the first to rush over, his voice trembling with excitement. The world outside is completely destroyed, but here, it's like we're in paradise. You saved all of our lives. You're welcome, Mr. Cole. After all, you paid for the room. I gave a faint smile. Just then, a piercing commotion suddenly erupted outside the main entrance. Several hotel security guards were pinning a man, covered in mud and water, his clothes in tatters like a homeless person's, firmly to the marble steps. Let me in. I'm Harrison Faulkner. I know your boss. Jax, save me. The man snarled like a desperate stray dog. I raised an eyebrow and walked slowly toward the door with Scarlett, looking at Harrison now. Where was there even a trace of the real estate tycoon he once was? His suit was torn to shreds, blood was still streaming from his head, his eyes were glassy, and he was on the verge of a complete breakdown. Last night's hurricane not only leveled his commercial building, which cost over $1 billion to construct, but also completely destroyed all of his real estate projects under construction. To make matters worse, the insurance company refused to pay out due to the force majeure clause. Just this morning, Wall Street banks joined forces to file a petition with the court for compulsory bankruptcy liquidation. Right now, he's in a million times worse shape than that unlucky guy Jax who was about to jump off the bridge a week ago. Isn't that Mr. Harrison? I looked down at him from above, my gaze as cold as if I were looking at a pile of non-recyclable trash. What? Aren't you planning to come smash my generator today? Jax, no. Master Vance. I was wrong. I really was wrong. Harrison, sobbing uncontrollably, tried to cling to my leather shoes, but was kicked away by a security guard. I'm bankrupt. Those bankers are out to kill me. And my enemies are all after me. I beg you, for God's sake, let me hide out here for a few days. I still have a few overseas accounts with $10 million in them. I'll give it all to you. 10 million? It sounded like the biggest joke I'd ever heard. And I turned to look at the lobby behind me. Mr. Jax, a Goldman Sachs partner immediately, and tactfully raised his hand high. On behalf of Goldman Sachs, I am willing to pay $1 billion to purchase a lifetime VIP membership at the Obsidian Hotel. All I ask is to have a bed to take refuge in during times of crisis. $1 billion? That's nothing. I'll pay $30 billion, the Texas oil tycoon roared, slamming a Swiss bank check down on the Obsidian counter. A top-secret encrypted telegram has been sent from a Middle Eastern royal family, offering permanent mining rights to 2 oil fields in exchange for a week's use of the top-floor luxury suite. Scarlett looked at the message she just received on her tablet and, in her cold yet seductive voice, delivered the final blow to Harrison. Harrison collapsed completely into the muddy water. His eyes rolled back, as if his very soul had been drained from him. Given the Obsidian Hotel's current scale, his 10 million wasn't even enough to buy a single brick here. Throw him out of the neighborhood. Don't let him dirty my doorstep. I waved my hand as if shooing away a fly. I turned and walked back to the lobby, watching the world's top corporate giants arguing fiercely over a single spot. This is my empire. Ever since I bought this abandoned building for $1, I've not only paid off all my debts, but I've also turned the most powerful and wealthiest people in the world into my most loyal cash cows and followers. As long as the Obsidian Hotel still stands here, I, Jax Vance, am the true, hidden ruler of this world. I picked up the glass of Dom Perignon champagne that Scarlett had handed me and raised it slightly, to all the wealthy people in the lobby, and to this world I had brought to my knees. Welcome to Obsidian, everyone. Here, money can't buy you your life, but I can. The end.